We're just normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
Welcome to the RedAss Podcast, your home for Aggie sports, barbecue, music, and much more. And now your hosts, Rob White and Roy May.
Howdy, guys. Welcome back to the RedAss Podcast. Today is Thursday, August 28th. It is week one. I'm in a completely different location per usual, and here we are, rocking and rolling. My name is Rob White, fighting Texas A&M class of 2014.
And I'm Roy May, fighting Texas Aggie class of 2015. I can't talk, apparently.
But, yeah, we've got so much to get into. It is week one. We had our first round of games this previous week on week 0. We have officially moved on into the season proper starting tonight on Thursday, if you're listening in this evening. But
It's already started.
yeah, I'm about to say the new week of slate is getting rolling. But we had some good college football last week, including an amazing story out of Hawaii, which I thought was really cool with the kicker. But a lot of other good stuff coming up. So I'd say let's just jump right into it.
Yeah, let's fire away. We're going to run through some games, and then we need to I want to go through we're going to go through the depth chart, A&M depth chart that got released.
Yes.
So starting off, we both called ISU winning in Dublin. Sloppy, gross game. It was borderline unwatchable until about the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
Yeah, it was not exciting whatsoever. But it was football. You know, it scratches the itch. But now finally, you know, this week we've got just some absolute monster games, which I'm really thrilled about. I'm missing the Boise State South Florida game right now. I actually thought that was going to be a pretty good game. Of course, it's all a crapshoot with the Group of Five stuff because it's not like I keep up with it that much. But yeah, so the slate of games are crazy. We'll pick them later. We'll pick them a little bit later in the show. But what I kind of want to talk about is just like, where are you at right now? Like, what's your feeling relative to this team and A&M's season?
Well, so currently, I mean, my feelings more or less reflect last week. I had a good discussion with a good musician buddy of ours. His name's Hayden Baker. For those of you who are not aware, Hayden Baker is kind of a mini Brad Paisley. He's a phenomenal guitar player, but also a great singer on top of that, too. He opened for us in Stephenville this past week. But afterwards, yeah, he and I got to talking and listening to his analysis, and he's pretty excited about what we've got coming up. And I think offensively, I really like where we're standing. Of course, I mean, it's hard not to look at some of the pieces we have, both on the line as well as skill position as well as quarterback, and not say, well, this team's got some good potential. Defensively, I'd like to see some holes be shored up. Granted, with Elko being a little bit more involved this year, a lot more involved this year. Anything's possible. It could be really good. I mean, granted, I'm still in that box of we are 8-4 till we're not, but at the same time, I'd like to see us do better than that line. I really got a good feeling that we should be able to beat that.
Right now, the line is at 23.5 on DraftKings.
Okay.
And over under is 56.5. So basically that means what, like 40 to something,
Yeah, 40 to like 17 or something.
Yeah, 40-17. I'm just excited I'm excited because I think UTSA is a good test. They're not your standard kind of group of five team in the sense that they had the 11th best offense in FBS last year and the 12th highest scoring. They were scoring a little bit over 32 points a game. So the top 13 dudes on that team, like as far as they got snaps, the most amount of snaps on the team, the top 13 guys are returning 11 of those 13. Like that is monster return production. Their tight end room is really good. Their wide receivers are good. They're not going to be like they're not going to test us in the part that I kind of wanted to be tested on, and that's taking the top off the defense. But they're shifty receivers. They got good hands, and then McCown obviously is the what nephew, I think, of Randy that played here.
Mhm.
So there's, and Jeff Traylor lines and all that stuff. But where it's going to go poorly for UTSA is their defense. Their defense is just it's like they lost a ton between people leaving and transfer portal. Um, like they just lost a ton. Their defense is just flat out not going to be very good. So in their conference, in the AAC, they're basically going to have to just run people out of the building. It's kind of one of those
Yeah.
things. I'm trying to remember what year it was for us. You know, we basically had to score 45 every game to win, kind of thing.
It reminds me of 2013. I mean, I feel like that was the
13.
year where we would like score so many points in a game, but if we weren't staying ahead of them, they were going to catch us.
Yeah, like it felt like we had to score on every possession, and so
Exactly.
that's kind of I feel like that's how UTSA's year's probably going to go. But still, their offense is formidable. I say all that to say this. Um, but so I like the test that I think their offense is capable of bringing. Veteran O line too. It's just that they've got experience literally at every position.
Yeah.
Um, so I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. It looks like the weather's going to be nice. Like it's
Yeah.
craziness the weather, but yes, looking forward to it, and we'll break down the Texas A&M depth chart a little bit later. There's not a whole lot to talk about relative to last weekend, other than the Iowa State, Kansas, Farmageddon, basically. Um,
Sure.
I do want to say that with Aggie soccer, we'll just kind of change lanes real quick. Aggie soccer, that was big result against UConn. UConn's a really good program, and
Yep.
and I want to see soccer return to. I said this morning. I want to see soccer return to where they should be. And
I agree.
given the success of that program, that's one of those where we can say they should be at a certain level, right?
Yeah.
And the results so far, it's kind of some mixed results with some draws, but they're undefeated. Which is obviously
Sure.
always the goal. Um,
That's an important thing. Yeah.
but I thought that result against UConn was a real bright spot so far. Obviously, the season's hyper early; they're just a few games in.
Right.
But then you turn around and you see volleyball open up and beat Minnesota, who was what were they, the 11th team in the nation? We're number 9 at that ABCBA kind of invitational, whatever it's called.
Hmm.
So both of those programs are off to great starts, and I think looking at it, we got the question. I think it was last week. It had to be because it was the first time of the season.
Yeah.
Asking about as a whole what we thought about where our athletic department would be relative to how they kind of finished last year.
Yeah.
Um, and so far so good, right? The early results. We have 1% of the precincts reporting, but early results look promising in those two sports. I don't think anybody was really concerned about volleyball. Um, Soccer, I think, was just kind of the wild card relative to the spring sports. I
Mhm.
don't think anybody really knew what we were going to get, and obviously because of some transfer losses, but it looks like so far so good, right?
Yeah.
Seems like Coach G's got them going in the right direction. Um, but yeah, so let's just dive into the depth chart, man. All right,
Yeah.
so
Let's go
A&M
ahead and do
finally,
it.
yeah, so A&M finally released their depth chart, which everybody wants to see, and you're hoping there's not a whole lot of oars on there. Um,
Yeah.
so we'll just start straight from the top at QB. Obviously, no surprise with Marcel Reed. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm excited for him because he literally now, he obviously has SEC starting experience, but he got an entire offseason and camp to be the dude and to get those
Mhm.
reps, right? Like he is the man and everybody knows it.
Mhm.
Um, a little surprising to see Miles O'Neill sneak up into the second spot. I thought Brady Hart would have it, but Miles O'Neill apparently has just looked fantastic. And so he's earned the backup spot. Running back room is not going to be any surprises. Le'Veon Moss, Amari Daniels, Ruben Owens, Jamari Morrow. I am excited to see though. That's one of the guys that we've heard a ton of, coming out of camp, and he's a freshman.
Yeah.
But not listed on the depth chart. But you have guys like EJ Smith, who apparently had again, whether or not you're going to believe the camp reports, right? But because everybody looks bigger and stronger and faster, right? Every year. That's the MO. Now they all look
Right.
like NFL linemen. But so it'll be interesting to see how that room rotates. And and I think and I, going back to quarterback, I firmly believe that Miles O'Neill won that spot. And it's probably a good thing to keep him around because you have to start thinking about stuff like that, in today's kind of landscape of college football is, if this guy's buried on the depth chart, he's gone, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to maintain depth, of course, but at the same time, you will see that these guys are going to want to try to get the best possible opportunity for themselves, which I completely understand in the modern game. That's something you have to adjust for with a lot of these kids. If you can maintain them and you can give them significant playing time, let's say we get ourselves into some formidable positions, like let's just say even in UTSA, maybe the defense overperforms, they look really good. We have ourselves in a very favorable position heading into the fourth quarter. Would love to see him get some reps. One, obviously keep Marcel healthy, but two,
Well,
get some key experience, of course.
and speaking of that, that's also another thing. When you look at this, when you look at our depth chart, like there's some talent in the depth too. So
Hmm.
teams like UTSA and Utah State, we're gonna have the ability just to wear them down. I mean, you look at that running back room is loaded. Moss, Daniels,
It's insane.
Owens, it's absolutely it's easily one of the best running back rooms in the nation. And they're
Yeah,
gonna go, I believe they're gonna go out and prove it this year.
I
Moving
agree.
on, yeah. I mean, Moss was doing it before he got hurt.
Yeah, he was.
So moving on, wide receiver, not a whole lot of surprises here. Concepcion and Craver, Ashton Bethel Roman, those are the three starting wide receivers. The interesting part is behind Craver, both Craver and Bethel Roman is or Terry Bussey.
Or
So
Terry
this
Bussey.
this is where I think we start to see there are plans for this dude,
Yeah.
right? So, we've got him at two different positions. It's probably out in slot or, Y and Z. Um, and so it'll be interesting to see the packages because he's electric. I mean, we've seen it, right?
Hmm.
And just being able to get him on the field, right? We got to get him on the field and get the ball in his hands. Although I do think we'll still be kind of a run heavy offense just because of what we have.
Right.
Played obviously played to your strengths, and not to say that Marcel Reed and Concepcion and Craig, not to say these guys aren't our strengths, but we kind of have a tried and true running game that we know exists because
Right.
we've literally seen it with our own eyes with these exact same people.
Yeah.
Because moving on, you go to the offensive line and you're like Zoom, Basantis, Naboo, Reed Adams, Crownover. Unfortunately losing Fathery for the year and losing Miles hurt too. I was really excited to see what um like I was really excited to see what he was going to do. So,
Hmm.
wishing both those guys, both of them lower extremities. And Miles required surgery. So just obviously wishing them a speedy recovery. Fathery, no surgery, which I guess is good news, but still out for the year. Um, and then, you run over the tight end room and you got, big old Theo. And it's interesting because this is like the triple or, right?
Hmm.
You have Theo, Burkiter and Niblack from Texas, and all
Yep.
three of those guys apparently have just been wowing dudes at camp. And maybe this will be the year we actually use the tight end more.
Well, we've said it before, we'll say it again, I'm sure. But I mean, the tight end is one of those positions that, when utilized properly, is a scary good, like, extra thing to throw at a defense, especially when they're talented. And we've seen, we've had some good experiences with good tight ends in the past, and I would love to see that continue, of course.
Well, and given the athleticism of these dudes, like you got Theo 6'6", 257, Nate 6'4", 250, and Niblack's 6'3", 235. These are not small guys, right? And And I think it's just because of what we've seen through the years and what we see progress, like how the game progresses. How what starts in the NFL bleeds down into college. It trickles down into college football, right?
Right.
And seeing the Um, Travis Kelce's the world, playing in that split tight end kind of position. Um, what's his name? The dweeb that was with the Patriots forever, him. Um, I don't know why I can't remember his name. I can see his face.
Gronk.
Thank you, Gronkowski. Uh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and so seeing that kind of hybrid role, and I like to see us be able to do some of that, but a lot of the reports coming out of camp also were how they had really improved their blocking, their blocking skills, which is only going to bolster A, pass pro, and B, the running game, right?
Hmm.
Anytime you can have it's not having another blocker, it's having another blocker that's good at it. That's
Ex-
that's small caveat.
important.
But and also hearing the players themselves say how they've focused on really focused on their blocking and a lot of the other parts of their game outside of just running routes and catching footballs. So just looking at position groups, quarterback, I like what I see. I think that's going to be like we'll phrase it this way: is it going to be better, the same, or going to be worse, the same, or better this year? And I'll just go group by group. So quarterback.
I mean, I would say better.
If you have
I
to assume
mean,
better, right? Because of the experience.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, for the experience, and I mean, no disrespect to Connor Wegman. Obviously, we had a lot of hype about him. We were excited for him, but I mean, really behind him, Marcel Reed shot such an electricity into the offense when he came in. Both times he did. And from what we've been hearing about with Hart and O'Neal, I mean, you've got to be excited about the prospect of all three of those guys potentially having moments. Granted, obviously, we don't want Marcel Reed to go out. That's the last thing we
No,
want.
no.
But
If I see O'Neal or Hart, it's because we're up by 40 late.
that's my prayer.
Yeah, so I think it'll be better. He also like I said earlier, he had all of camp the entire offseason to be the number one, to be the guy.
Mhm.
Running back room,
I mean, I would say that's a definite positive for the running backs. I mean, you have such an incredible stable of talent there
I'll
that
just say
each
they're
of
going to
those
be the same.
guys could contribute and do pretty well. So excited for that.
I'll just say
So
they'll be the same because while I would love for them to be better, I'm not sure they can be. So I'm going to say the
sure,
running backs stay the same.
that's fair.
All right, wide receiver core.
I mean,
This is an easy one. They got to be better.
you got to be better because last year, unfortunately, I mean, that was half the battle, right? It just felt like we were constantly like either having drop balls or a number of other issues.
Couldn't find separation. Didn't
Yeah,
have the speed to really take the lid off the defense. So I'll say they're going to be better. Tight
yeah.
ends.
We'll see. Maybe about the same, maybe better, hopefully.
Yeah, TBD. I'll say same until they're incorporated on the office. So until I say it, I'll say they stay the same. Offensive line. I'm going to go with better, just because when you have a group of guys that play with each other for long enough, their ability to communicate without communicating is huge. And also their communication is a lot clearer, when they are like out loud communicating. But
Mhm.
it's just kind of that feel of where the other guy's going to be, who has your back, um, when you can slide, and so it's having an experienced offensive line, and we say it all the time. This game is won at the line of scrimmage, and the SEC
Mhm.
especially. So your offensive
Right.
and defensive lines have to be. I mean, they got to be talented, obviously, to start with. But the reality is it's not just talent, but there has to have that experience. And having that gelling on the offensive line is so important because it's really like all five fingers got to work as a hand, right? You can't have individuals.
Right.
So for me, I'm going to call that one better, just because, again, like I said, it's another year of them playing together. It's another year of them understanding each other and understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses and being able to balance that out. So that's my thing on offensive line.
Yeah, and O line, I think my big thing I was thinking about honestly was when was the last time like we had really two exceptional teams that really caught everybody's eye? I think back to 2012, I think back to 2020, right? And what was the key to both of those teams offensively?
Yeah.
Stacked, experienced offensive lines, right? I mean, yes, you had Johnny Manziel who looked really good. Yes, I mean we've had obviously other offensive pieces, defenses played well, but the key to offensive performance always comes down to how tight and how locked in that O line is. And when you have a group of guys that have experience and have worked together and have grown together, that's going to potentially go a long way.
Yeah. All right, so let's head over to the defense. We'll go through the defensive line. So defensive end got Deion Hayes or TJ Searcy, Solomon Williams, and Sam Impemba. Yeah. The defensive tackles, you got DJ Hicks and Tyler Onedem.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever gotten that name right. Um, so eh, yeah, I like DJ Hicks. I'm a big fan of DJ Hicks. And
Yeah.
what's funny is when you look at the depth chart between the nose and the two defensive tackles, this is all just intertwined with Hicks and Regis and Dylan Evans
Mhm.
and Oniadem. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And
Moving
it's
parts.
just a question, right? Like this is what everybody's question is, like, how's the line going to be? And I thought we talked about this last week when they just came out and flat out said, "Hey, we had to call a defensive scheme because we were trying to cover for our secondary." But that's basically what they said. They said it wasn't good enough in the secondary, and because of that, we had to call plays in a manner to mask that, or at least assist that deficiency as best as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm cautiously optimistic about our defensive line play because, and we'll get to the secondary, but because I think the secondary is going to be a strength, we're going to, will allow the defensive line to be, I mean, more aggressive would be my guess. Just,
Well, let them actually do their job, get out there and get some pressure on the quarterback, get the proper contains, because you actually do have a decent crew back behind you to back you up. I mean, that's what you want. That's what you
yeah,
need.
when you can let them loose a little bit, stunt more often, blitz, just run some schemes, and you're confident, you're not worried about, what's going to happen over the top of their heads. Well, I forgot one joker, Cassius Howell. I think he's probably the one everybody's looking forward to the most. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, he was outstanding last year, and when it comes to those positions, they generally do not regress by any means. So I'll say on defensive line to include Joker, I'll say stay the same because this is another one where I want to see it. So I'll just say stay the same because, and it's not just that I want to see the players in action, it's that uh I want to see the play calling as well. Yeah,
Right.
I think that's a big one with the defensive line. So I'll say they're going to stay the same for now. Moving on to linebacker, you got Torian York and Scooby Williams. No, absolutely no
Yeah.
surprise there. Jordan Lockhart, and Damian Sanford in those backup positions. Um, they were good last year.
They were. They had
I
some great moments.
think they're going to be good again. I don't know if they'll necessarily be better, but I think even if we just got as good as last year, we'd be in good position.
I
I mean,
agree. I think if they maintain, that's going to go a long way.
they were, speaking of position, their one issue was they were out of position a handful of times, and there was
Hmm.
some issues with tackling. So not to say that what we got out of them last year was great, but it would be sufficient enough. Um, you know what? These guys are on some watch lists. I'm going to go with they're going to be better this year. It's just another year in the system. The ability to act instead of having to think first. It's just that reaction, that instinct. I'm going to go with this group being better. I am. Uh,
I certainly hope so. I said I'll say they maintain until I get to see something out of them, but I'd like to see them do better for sure.
oh man, I miss the days of being linebacker you, man. When it was like us and Penn State just arguing over it. I would love to see
Always.
great linebacker play come back to Texas A&M on a consistent year in and year out basis.
No
Uh,
question.
all right, out in the flats, we got Will Lee, the blanket, and Des Ricks. Um, Julio Humphrey backing up on both sides. These guys are good, man. I
They
mean,
are.
there's just I don't know that they can be better, so I'll say they're going to stay the same. Um,
Fair.
they're just so good, man. So I'm excited to see some true shutdown corners. And again, this is where we get back into that secondary being the strength of the team, which hopefully takes the pressure off the defensive line.
Yeah.
And then up on safety, you got Bryce Anderson and Dalton Brooks, Marcus Ratliff, Miles Davis kind of backing up. And then nickel, Tyreek Chappelle again. if you pay attention to this stuff, not wildly surprising.
No,
Yeah, there weren't a whole lot of like shockers, to be honest. Um,
no.
I like the secondary, man. I really like Dalton Brooks. I really like Tyreek Spell at nickel. Bryce Anderson, he's pretty good. And so I think the secondary as a unit, being a strength, is going to assist the defense as a whole. When the linebackers and the defensive line don't have to basically check themselves in order to mask, a not so great secondary. And
Mhm.
on top of that, given how Coach Elko ended the season, basically just saying that's completely unacceptable and that crap ain't going to happen again. And me trusting Mike Elko in the process, and especially as a defensive coach, I think you have to be, I think you have to be a little positive about it, knowing that he was very intent on specifically addressing those issues.
Yeah. I'm definitely with you on that. I think the defense largely, I expect improvement across the board. Hopefully, that is, obviously there's going to be some positions that maintain. There may be even some that regress, but I think as a whole, hypothetically, should be better.
Yeah, and you're going to hear some positivity out of me because I picked us to go 10-2, and so to
Yeah,
go 10-2, we're going to have to be better.
exactly.
That's non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
Especially
That's math.
especially with our schedule where we got a month where we're gone from Kyle, and we got LSU and Notre Dame on the road and Texas on the road. Like this is a tough schedule.
Yeah. But what about special teams?
Oh well, Randy Bond kicking like always. Got Tyler White. Tyler White's fantastic. Kind of guy that can flip a field. Punting.
Mm-hmm.
And then kick returners I thought was interesting. So kick returners got Terry Bussey or Jamari Morrow or
Mm-hmm.
Ruben
Freshman.
Owens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or Ruben Owens. So those are three really explosive guys, but a lot of kickoffs go through the end zone, so it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But
But
then
punt return, though.
punt return, yeah, Terry Bussey is no. There's no surprise having Terry Bussey returning. Again, that's a guy you want to get as many touches as you can because he's dynamic. Um, and then Casey Concepcion. So this one was actually a little surprising because
Same.
they had Morrow at kick return, but there's a big difference between catching a kickoff and catching a punt.
That's true.
And so maybe that's just not his jam. He not not good at reading them. I don't know. But yeah, so there's your depth chart. Special teams, I think, will probably be the same. Special teams surely wasn't a problem last year.
No, they did their job. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm not concerned about special teams at all. All right. Well, yeah. So what's funny is you picked 8-4, but then you picked a lot of positions to be better. So we'll see how this plays out. And I
Like I
think you
said,
said too, I hope you're wrong.
I'll say I hope I'm wrong, but I also know that there are outside factors that are going to potentially play against us. Namely, number one thing I thought was fascinating was that this is going to be a big, big thing for me going forward with this team. It's going to be how do you handle penalties? How do you go about being smart in those situations? Because so oftentimes those penalties have come back to bite us, and all you have to do is look at basically what the split was on how we did both at home and on the road. We were dead last in both categories as far as being penalized compared to other teams. Was so much of that necessarily focused on, issues with our own discipline? Were we getting unfairly kind of poked at? I don't know, but the numbers say we need to improve on penalties.
Well, but then the report also came out that we got screwed on penalties.
Exactly. So that's my whole point. Like, what do you do? You have to be smart. I think that's a big one for me is because there will be times through this college football season where there will be a game that is quite winnable that we do something stupid to hurt ourselves, and we have to be careful to not allow that. That's where 8-4 likely comes in because you do have all of the good position players. You've got improved defense, but if you cannot control discipline on the field and do it in the right way, that could potentially bite us in the ass. So we got to be careful about that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And the other thing, obviously, is it's the things you can't control.
Exactly.
You pray that we can stay healthy.
Just stay healthy. That is a big one too. Unfortunately, every single year, there's always injuries. There's always people that go out at a bad time for
We've
every
already had
single
two.
team.
We've already
Exactly.
had two. Father E's a good player, and Miles, I
He
was
is.
excited to see him. So it's unfortunate, but I mean, it happens to every team, though. That's the other thing. It
Yep.
happens to every team, and if you're going to have a magical season, it doesn't happen as often to you as it does to others.
It's very, very, very true. So
All right, let's move on to some picks. Some
let's move
real
on to some picks.
games this week. I picked a slate that they're good lines, quite frankly, and they're probably games everybody's
Sure.
going to want to see. So the first one I picked is a little goofy. Auburn at Baylor.
That's
That's
not,
it's a weird matchup to me.
it is.
And so Auburn's 2.5 point favorite on the road. And so that means neutral side, they'd be 5.5. Um, I don't, dude, the Auburn quarterback situation is just everything's just still weird. Just everything about Auburn right now is weird, right?
It
Um,
is.
yeah, this is kind of a tough one to pick personally.
And a Friday night game on top of that.
I know, right? But that kind of fits well because Baylor Stadium's about like a high school stadium. So uh you know what? But I'll joke about it, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take Baylor actually to win this game outright.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. I mean, it's in Waco. It's the first game of the year. It's a big hype up game. Auburn's kind of been in shambles. Could Auburn put it all together? Sure. Absolutely. But weird things happen in Waco at night, man.
Three separate, yeah, right. Three separate play callers and three quarterbacks. I'm watching this game just for the sheer entertainment. All right.
Baylor.
This next one we'll pick covers because it's kind of a big line, but it's a big game name wise. And Bama goes to play out of FSU.
Mm-hmm.
And Bama's a 2 touchdown favorite in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And what version of Mike Norvell fighting Seminoles do we get?
The one that loses to Alabama.
Yeah, yeah. But
That's generally where my brain's at.
I think Bama's going to cover. I
Yeah,
think
I think they do too.
I think Bama is going to be really good this year, quite frankly.
Well, Bama has shown that, in these situations, granted, I understand this is no longer Nick Saban's Alabama. But what I will say is Alabama is a brand. It is a dynasty. It is an establishment, is what Alabama is. And they don't take one kind of semi-rough year and just lay down. They'll come back. They know who they are.
Well, yeah, it's. I mean, think about like the last time you saw Alabama have consecutive seasons of being down.
Mid 2000s, right before they hired Saban. That was about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, as far back as I can remember, like watching Alabama football.
Yeah. They were whatever in the 90s, they were whatever in the 2000s, and then Saban comes in, completely put them back on track.
Yeah, has built the brand and built the machine, and that's one of those programs where I don't want to say it doesn't matter who you have running it, but relative to recruiting, it doesn't matter who you have running it.
It's a well-oiled machine right in the heart of one of the best recruiting hotbeds in the country with an established brand, national titles to back it up. Alabama's a good program, and they will be pretty much until college football is no longer a thing.
Yeah, I mean, they stack talents like Mason stacked bricks, man.
Roll Tide, man. Always.
Yeah, roll tide, pal.
Roll Tide, pal.
All right, next one up is Clemson versus LSU. Clemson
You
is a
know,
4 point favorite. There's people that don't believe in Clemson this year, but I'm not one of them. I believe in Clemson this year.
fun little stat line. Since the year of our Lord 2020, LSU is 0-5 in week one matchups.
Do they reverse that trend? Is Garrett Nussmeier truly a Heisman candidate?
I'll tell you this much. It's going to be a wild game. It's going to be a wild game there in Clemson, South Carolina. I think it'll be a hard-fought game. I think LSU will give them plenty. But old habits die hard, and I fully expect nothing but for sale signs in Chip Kelly's yard. Give me the Clemson Tigers. Go, G-O Tigers, not Geaux.
Yeah, I got Clemson too, man. This is one of those
Hmm.
things where Brian Kelly just doesn't win first games.
Yeah, he's had a struggle bus on that front.
All right, Sips going to the shoe.
Hmm.
It is down to a half a point favorite for Ohio State. Now, if that remains that way all the way to kickoff, this will be the first time a number one team has ever been on the road and been an underdog, which would be interesting.
Yep.
But this is the same song and dance crap as last year. Sips played Michigan coming off a national championship year. Michigan lost everybody. And then the Sips get to say that they beat the reigning national champions. But what I will say is Ohio State is a little different. Ohio State is in the same stratosphere as Alabama when it comes to stacking talent
Yeah.
because they are in a hotbed of football as well. The state of Ohio produces a lot of recruits, and Ohio State is obviously a big enough name to go and pull kids out of the Bible Belt, go pull kids out of California. So Ohio State is another brand that recruits itself. Breaking in a new quarterback, not my favorite, but so are the Sips. The Sips are going to be, unfortunately, really good on defense this year.
Sure.
On offense, I have no idea because they have lost people and
Yeah.
they have lost a lot of production and talent. And a couple of things. If Arch was their Lord and Savior, then why couldn't he dethrone Quinn Ewers, who got drafted in the seventh round? And then the times we saw him, and you hear national guys saying this, the times we saw him, he did not look impressive. He looked a little lost. Like he just kind of had that oh shit moment, right? Like this is,
Mhm.
this is way like this is way more intense than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. If you're looking at the line, obviously you're talking point and a half favorite at home. So largely a toss up, pickup kind of thought process here.
Yeah, this
Um,
is absolutely a coin toss. Um, Ohio State has to run the ball.
they do.
They're going to have to run the ball against this defense, and they're going to have to find a way to get Jeremiah Smith involved, which they've shown they will do, right?
Mhm.
So,
Well, and if you look back at what the teams were last year, and I understand picking a game from last year versus this year is like comparing apples to oranges. It really doesn't matter a whole lot, but there are still some key pieces there. And I think the other factor with this game being, granted, in Ohio at noon, way to go, Fox. But, at this stage of the game,
well, but I will say this. I mean, that's been Fox's thing for a couple of years now. So if you think the Ohio State fans aren't used to that, I mean, they'll be ready to go.
no
I mean,
question.
the shoe is going to be absolutely rocking. And really the question comes down to it. This is going to be absolutely rely on quarterback play. Which new quarterback can figure it out?
Hmm.
And a new quarterback in a hostile environment is not necessarily a recipe for success. However, he can scoot though. He can run.
And well, and here's the deal. If he does win that game, hype train's in full motion.
Well, the high train's already in full motion. They're just going to throw a whole
But
bunch of coal in the end. Yeah. It's going to be like out of Back to the Future when you have those different color things that made the train go fast enough.
yeah, there's the red one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're going straight to red with that one. If Archie Manning goes up there or Archie Manning goes up there and they beat Ohio State, like we may as well just give him the Heisman at that point. Um, but I think I'm 1,000% watching this game.
Sure, same.
You guys know who I'm going to pick.
Well, I mean, I think we're both picking the same person. We're going Ohio State.
Good.
If for no other reason, honestly, I think combo home field and introducing a brand new a starting quarterback into that environment. I
Who's
think
lost
that
offensive weapons?
right, that did lose offensive weapons, and the reality is anytime you are starting your season with that first big game, it is so hard to walk away from that game with any real tangible evidence of, all right, how good or bad are we going to be? It's a weird deal because so often you'll see a team open the season against somebody big, but then they find out who they are later, and that team was not nearly who they thought they were.
Yeah, I
So
mean that's Texas and Michigan last year,
it was
right?
Texas, yeah, Texas, Michigan last year. If you look at I mean, we could go down to history, but I mean, I look at our 2015 team when we went and beat the dog at Arizona State, and we were like, "Oh yeah, these guys are going to cruise." We saw what happened the rest of the season. Yeah,
And
it's
Arizona
just
State sucked.
it's one of those deals, but that is that early season. It's hard to really read a lot from it. I think it's going to be a good first game. I think Ohio State edges them out. I say they win by field goal.
Whoever wins, this is going to be tight.
It'll be tight.
I
I
think
have
this
no
should be
doubt
a
about
good
that.
game because I think both defenses can keep their offense in it.
Mm,
It's just gonna. I think it's gonna come down to quarterback play,
I think
and
you're right.
and not just quarterback. Like the cards are stacked against Arch just because it's a road game. If this were a home game, I think it'd be Texas.
I think so too. I'm
So I
with you
mean,
on that.
just kind of the way they drew the home and away, not the best luck for Texas. Um,
No,
so we'll see though. The shoe will be rocking though. I can tell you that right now. Number one team,
no question.
they're going to be rocking. All right, and then finally the Ags. Because it's one of these cupcakes. If you haven't watched this before, we generally pick on the line because if you think either of us are going to pick UTSA to beat A&M, you are probably on the wrong channel.
You're definitely on the
Um,
wrong podcast for sure.
yeah, yeah, you took a wrong turn somewhere. Um, all right, 23 and a half is what we said with the over under at 56.5. That's about a 40-17 game, which is kind of where I was wanting to land anyways. I think I would like to see us get closer to 50, but it's not like it's not alarming if we score 40. 40 points, 40 points, man.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
you know, kind of the keys to the game relative to covering the spread, right? Because the keys to the game are just going to be Texas A&M and go out there and execute, and talent is
Right.
going to win. Yeah, talent and discipline wins a lot of football games.
Hmm.
Um, so in order to get 23 and a half, we're gonna have to see like well, let's say what I want to see. Let's do it that. Let's do it like that because getting 23, I don't know. Just score 23 and have more points than they do. Um, I want to see some explosive plays on offense. I think I said this last week, and I want to see no explosive plays on defense. If UTSA scores 17 points, I have no problem with that because, like we talked about it earlier, their offense is no joke relative to just having a quote unquote cupcake non-con game. Like
Yeah.
this is going to be a good offense, and I mean if we go in there and hold them to 3 or 7 points, bro, you want to talk about a hype train? I will be on here next week freaking out about the defense. Like if we
Well,
shut them out, I'm going to freak.
yeah. I think the keys for me is I think you hold UTSA under 20 points. That's where my head's at. If you don't allow 3 touchdowns in this game, I'll feel pretty good. That on the
Yeah,
defensive side of
that's
the ball.
that's not a bad barometer.
Right.
What
I'll feel
I'd
pretty
like
good
to
about
see
that.
breaking it down, I only want them to have 3 to 7 points going to the half.
And that's great too. I think, well, because I mean, let's face it, second half, what's going to happen? Let's say we're up at a decent amount in the second half, right? You're going to put in backups. Backups are going to give up points on defense potentially. We don't know. But the reality is, I think if we can maintain going into the fourth quarter, like if the game is not in doubt by the time we get to the fourth quarter, I will be more than ecstatic.
Yeah, just put them away.
And put them away.
Yeah,
Exactly.
just put them away to the extent that like it's time to roll in the backups.
Right.
I think we cover. Like I said, I'm high on this
Sure.
team. I really am. I'm
I'll
excited
say
about. So, you say they cover?
I'll say they cover. If they don't, it's not the end of the world, but it's going to depend on what that final score looks like.
Yeah, it'll depend on kind of what it looks like, right?
If it's like 27-20, I'm going to be a little concerned. If it's, 45-31, we scored a lot of points, but gave up a lot of points. But, 41-17, 45-10, 56 to
Yeah,
whatever. I mean,
yeah, something like 45-10. I'd be really happy with that. I mean, again, yeah,
yeah,
I'd be. What I'd love to see is a shutout. Go out there and win
of course.
49-0. Um, but again, just in the world of reality. Uh, so yeah, all right,
Reality,
yeah,
like, yeah, I mean, if I had to pick my realistic score, I'd say probably about, I don't know, maybe 41-17.
yeah. I think Vegas is probably pretty close on this one. 40-17, something like there.
something like that, somewhere in
Which
that
would mean,
range.
well, 40-17 would mean they didn't cover.
Yeah, I said 41-17.
Yeah, so that'd be 41.
I said 41.
That's fair. All right, man.
But so we did have a couple of questions. But before we get into those, I wanted to slight sidebar away from college football, and technically this question ties into that deal. So, did you watch the Carabao Cup, or did you see what happened with Grimsby Town and Manchester United yesterday?
I did not watch it because I've been in Summit for 3 days, which is an annual conference that we do. But I did get an alert that fourth tier Grimsby defeated Manchester United 12-11 in penalties.
Amazing. At home. They did it
Okay,
in front of their home fans, stormed the pitch, all the craziness. And for those, uninitiated, right? There's multiple tiers to this pyramid that they call the English Football League, or
football pyramid. Yeah.
right, the pyramid. You got the Premier League on the top, you have the Championship, which is the level down, League One, League Two, then you get into the National Leagues, which is basically a bunch of people that are doing it for fun for the most part.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. I mean, they
They're a
have
little bit
clubs, they
better
have
than
money, but
they're a little bit better than the ones doing it for fun on Sunday League.
right. Grimsby, not terribly long ago, just got back up into League Two, which is the fourth position on this particular tier level. So this is the equivalent of, like, let's take, I don't know, big time blue blood from the past. Let's take Nebraska. Let's say Nebraska loses to a D3 school. Like, that's the kind of level of money separation.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, it would, if it existed, it would be losing to a D4 school.
It's bad. It's really, really bad, especially when you are one of the premier brands in the world. It's
You know
crazy.
what? Yeah. You know what this is? This is the Yankees losing to a single A ball club.
Very accurate. Yeah, I'll give you that. So, I mean, Corpus Christi, no, go below that.
Yeah.
Like, not good. Not good for them.
It's
But
basically unheard of. And the Man United fans are already pretty, and well, they've been in a foul mood for a couple of years now.
yeah, they've been foul for a little bit. So this ties into our question with our buddy Jive Coach G. He asked, so question for the pod. Carabao Cup, Leagues Cup, Jägermeister Cup, professional soccer leagues have tournaments that clubs at different levels compete for throughout the year, along with competing in their own league. Thoughts on cup competition in college football? D1, D2, D3, all against each other. Happy first week of joy and pain in Aggie football. Gig 'em.
Well, it's not doable is the problem.
It's tough. Yeah.
Because yeah, it's just not doable. Like you would literally have to add games to the regular season because you can't, like, on a Tuesday go play another game.
No.
So it's I maybe doable in other sports, basketball, baseball, softball.
Yeah,
I mean,
something like that.
um, but then I think the other stumbling block you'd run into is the lower tiered schools having the funds to be able to pull that off.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
that is very tough, right? I mean, and the whole deal with doing those professional leagues is that those teams get to host a bigger team if they end up getting the draw, right? So the idea of a Grimsby Town hosting a Manchester United, typically that would obviously be the other way around. But I mean, a D3 school in their D League stadium, I mean, would it be feasible for them to host a Texas or an A&M or an Alabama or somebody like that?
yeah, I mean, if you want to do so you could do it regionally or by state. So let's say in baseball we have the Texas Cup, and all the D1 baseball schools in the state of Texas somehow find a way to basically make it their Tuesday games early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And the only logistics at that point is just working around a fluid schedule instead of
Right.
knowing on Tuesday, the second Tuesday of April, I know for a fact that we're playing this person here. So, but if you do it just within the state of Texas, I think you could pull it off.
That would be actually kind of neat if you did, like, basically a Texas Cup. Yeah, where you set it up, seed them as you see fit.
Seed them, have a blind draw.
Right.
And
whatever you want to do. And
yeah,
it can go home and away. It doesn't matter. Like A&M could go down to UT Rio Grande Valley,
yeah.
right? Or Texas has to go up to, wherever.
Yeah, so something like that
Yeah,
is feasible, but with football,
I
it's just
agree.
not feasible. It's just not. I mean, you're literally
See,
adding games.
yeah,
But yeah, like you could do it in baseball. You could maybe do it in basketball. Um,
yeah,
yeah, you could do it in basketball too, because just think about how many non-conference games you already have on the schedule. So if you can make
hmm
it work, because it's not a round robin where you have to play everybody. There's a tournament,
no.
it's slotted. So that'd be cool.
And then what you do for those other Tuesdays is basically just kind of schedule out as teams fall out. You just kind of continue your Tuesday games against the Texas teams like you usually do. You're just not in the running for the cup.
Well, and what you do is to ensure that you're not screwing up anybody's schedule outside of Texas, the teams that have dropped out can just go play each other.
Exactly. Exactly right.
So they've
So,
they've filled their Tuesday game slot. We're not having
mhm,
to reschedule with, Louisiana Lafayette or something.
exactly.
And it's just a set number of games, set number of weeks, and the winner takes it. It's just one game per level. I mean, you could do it with baseball. That'd be
I
cool.
agree.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Appreciate the question. I think that worked out. All
Except
right.
for getting hosted at UTEP on a Tuesday.
Whew. That would
Yeah.
suck. Yeah, that would suck for them or us if we had to travel.
Maybe we split Texas into four quadrants.
Right. Yeah, maybe
For the
break it up regionally.
qualifiers. Yeah, like for the qualifying rounds, that's probably the better way to do it.
Yeah. All right. So Garrett Smith fired in an additional question. He said, "My questions," he threw two at us. One, which I think concerns more my direction and something I think I already talked about. But number one, considering our schedule, do you see a scenario where we improve a lot but still go 8-4? And I
Yes.
said, I would say that's exactly what I was saying before. I think there are key sections where we could improve across the board as a team, but still have penalty issues in a game or have a screwed up call in a game. There are so many little minor factors throughout a football game that can largely affect the course of how that game plays out. Even if you are predicted to be a solid team and you potentially win that game, there's a number of different routes, avenues where you find a way to lose that game.
Yeah, I mean it's a tricky schedule. So if you want to go from a negative, I'll take kind of a negative view of the schedule real quick. You lose Notre
Sure.
Dame, you lose at LSU, you lose at Texas. You only got to find one more loss to get to 8-4.
Right.
And you spend a
South
month.
Carolina,
Yeah,
could be
you
South
spend a month.
Carolina, could be Arkansas, could be Missouri,
Could be Florida with a healthy DJ
could be
Lagway.
Florida. Yeah. There's a lot of potential for loss. There's a lot of potential to win, but there's a lot of potential to lose. Yeah, that's that's football.
Yeah.
And the second question, is it just me, or have we finally escaped the offseason triggering of the college football world by Yell Leader videos? And the answer is no, because I just saw another post about that the other day on X. So no, we have not escaped the Yell Leader deal. We will continue to deal with that until the end of time. And I will say my favorite response to this, and you'll appreciate this as a former Yell Leader, anytime somebody will post that from my burner account. I'm not going to tell y'all what it is. He's just a
Well, that's
burner.
why it's a burner.
That's why it's a burner. But my burner account will respond to them and be like, "What are you talking about? Look at our cheerleaders." And I'll post our actual A&M cheerleaders that go on and win national titles and compete. And hell, even the dance team's involved. So you can't go down that route. A&M just has male cheerleaders. First off, they're not cheerleaders. And number two, more importantly, our cheerleaders are really badass. So maybe lay off of them for a minute.
And if they look at their sidelines, they realize they have male cheerleaders as well. Every squad
Well,
does.
well,
Uh,
and yeah, I'm not going to go down the NFL rabbit hole and all that. That's for a different day. But
no, no. I
it,
will say that the association has kind of formed a group to assist the current Yell leaders.
mhm,
There will be no more live streaming of Midnight Yell, which I think is a positive.
sure.
I mean, I could see the negatives, right? Like people don't get to see Midnight Yell, but you want to see
The
Midnight
whole
Yell?
point is you need to be there.
Go to Kyle. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, go there. That's the point. Like, I mean, I could understand like streaming Bonfire. I completely understand that.
That's a lot different.
That's a lot different,
And
right? I
that's not
mean,
a
I understand.
university. That's not a university decision, anyways. That's a Texas decision.
Exactly. Exactly. And I don't have an issue with that. I think that's totally cool and I think it works. But on the same token, yeah, with Midnight Yell, if you want to go to Midnight Yell, just go to Midnight Yell, man. Like it's fun. You're supposed to go support the people, have yourselves a good time. And you know what? If somebody wants to take away your happiness on it, don't let them. It's as simple as that. Enjoy the things you want to enjoy and laugh and revel at the individuals who at the end of the day are just another boring school that has a volley chant and a catchphrase. Because guess what? That is 95% of college sports right there. Cut and paste. Boomer Sooner, Texas Fight, Raider Power. You can go right and run down the list. Everybody's got one.
Mhm. Old
Doesn't
man
really.
yelling at clouds here. And it's not
You know
me.
what really grinds my gears? No, it's fun. Hey, I'm just excited to be back in it. We've got college football on the way this weekend for the Aggies. And this is always a fun time of year. We always get excited in August. Yeah, you got your hang-ups, but you're still excited to see the boys play. The fact of the matter
Enjoy
is,
it.
it all comes down to it at Kyle Field this next Saturday evening.
Well, and enjoy it because it flies by.
It always does.
I'm going to ask
So,
you, I didn't prep you on this. I'm going to ask you a question. Or do we have any more? Is that it?
that
Is
was
that,
the last question. So,
yeah.
fire question.
Uh, can you give us an update on is how's Carson doing?
Carson's better. So, for those of you who are unaware, Carson was recently just taken to the hospital. He went to the ER. Blood sugar count was dangerously high. He's home. He's with his wife. He's with his baby. Everybody's good. He got a nice little scolding from not just her, but the rest of the boys. And we have let him know that we love him and we want him to stick around. So we're going to make some changes on the road going forward about certain policies regarding alcohol, namely fans offering us alcohol. Don't give any to Carson. So if you're listening to a show and you decide you want to come out to one of our concerts, feel free to give any of us drinks, but don't give any to Carson because that's going to end up leading to an issue. So that would be the big thing for sure. Now, so yeah, that's my Carson update. I did have one additional question for you because I'd be curious to hear your answer. So I fired in a question on Twitter the other day and got a handful of good responses on it, which was cool. But I asked, somebody comes up to you and has never in their entire life listened to country music. I don't know how, but they've just skipped out on country music their whole life. And you have one song to show them this is country music. What's your song? Good question, right?
Probably, I'm just trying to go with whatever pops in my head first. It would probably
Sure.
be Clint Black. Um,
Clint
what's the
Black.
title of it? What's the title of that dang song? Ain't it funny how a melody can bring back a memory?
Yeah,
That one.
that's good. Okay.
When I think of country music, like literally, that's the first song that pops in my head probably 90% of the time. And there's a million other songs you could use. I mean, you could say, here's the roots of it and give them a whole Hank Williams song, or you could, you know, with more
Right.
current kind of like the Red Dirt Road stuff. I mean, you could throw
Sure.
any turnpike at them.
Oh,
Um,
that's true.
um, but I always kind of look at the 90s as kind of like the pinnacle of country music. And so, it'd have to be something from George or Clint or Garth. Um,
Want to hear something really funny?
hmm,
My song's a Clint Black song.
yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah, I said it's "We Tell Ourselves," which is on the album "The Hard Way" '92. The reason why I like that song, it's got catchy hooks, the whole deal. But this is the big thing. What I was kind of envisioning, like if I want to show somebody country music, it's got picking guitars in it. It's got badass steel guitar in it. It's got great fiddle in it. It's got country keys in it, and it's got a catchy hook. It's everything I like about country music in one song. That's why I would show them that one.
Hey, speaking of another, probably my favorite Clint, we're just going down a rabbit hole at this point. My favorite Clint Black song is probably Cadillac Jack Favor.
It's a good one too.
Yeah.
Clint's so good. I love Clint. I
Yeah,
mean, he's got.
he was kind of right in the middle, right? He was like, it wasn't George, he wasn't Garth, but he's that unique sound, and I think that's
Mhm.
probably why we both picked Clint too. He's got kind of a little
Yeah,
nasally sound. He's got
yeah.
enough of an accent, but not too much. Like it,
Clint to me is what like Tom Petty is to rock and roll, right? Like Tom Petty is just kind of right there in the middle. He rocks and rolls. There's nothing really like outstanding about him, but you've heard his music and you like it. Like it's hard to beat. That's why I look at Clint Black. Like there's not a thing from Clint that I hate. Everything he's done is pretty excellent.
yeah, I can.
It's hard to argue that. But yeah, guys, we do appreciate y'all coming in. Sorry about the different digs, and if I've been looking down this time, my camera is actually above at my girlfriend's desk here in Kingwood, so it's all great and good. But be sure to follow us on our social medias over at the Red Ass Podcast, both on Instagram and X. Be sure to follow Roy May. It's gonna be Roy May 15 on X, Roy May Jr. on Instagram, Rob the
I need to
Slapper on
change that.
both.
I need to
What's
change that.
that?
I need to
Just make
change
it
that.
one.
Yeah, it's
Junior or 15?
probably junior. I don't
Junior.
know. Yeah, probably 15.
That's it. I trust your judgment. Either
Yeah,
way.
probably 15. That's on brand.
Yeah. So either way, be sure to check out our socials on both ends, guys. And of course, be sure to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. And if you have other questions for us, even in the middle of the week, we're always down to answer your questions. I get the notifications, so I'll be sure to share them with Roy ahead of time. But we do thank y'all
Yeah,
so much for listening in, of course.
yeah,
Any other plugs?
no, I was just gonna say something pops in your head in the middle of the week. You got a question, yeah, just send it to one of our socials and we'll make sure we cover it. If you got a topic you'd like
Yeah.
us to, um, a topic you'd like us to discuss, it doesn't have to be
Yeah,
sports. We just don't do
exactly.
politics. Outside
Right.
of
I
that,
mean,
we're fair game for anything, man.
yeah. You want to talk a little country music? We're all about it. You want to talk about something else? We're all about it, guys.
We can
Just,
make this story time.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm sure we both have plenty of stories we could share if we wanted to. So,
Sure.
so thank y'all so much for listening in this week. Gig 'em, beat the ever living hell out of UTSA, and we will see y'all next week. Gig 'em.
Yeah.